So today I want to talk about how to effectively manage a team. Now you may be a new manager, you may be a long-term manager, you could even be a business owner, but here's the thing is sometimes management is new to you and you need to figure out how to do that better. Kevin Wayer, Action Business Coach, and so let's dive into how to effectively manage a team. I'm going to go through 7 steps that really have a huge impact on how you effectively manage a team. Now, obviously, everybody talks about let's get rah-rah sessions in and get everybody kumbaya and working well together. And yes, those are important, but we're going to go to 7 key things that you need to learn on how to effectively manage a team. The first key is you've got to hire the right people for the right position. It all begins with getting the right person on the bus in the right place. Think about this. If you hire somebody that is not a good fit for a position that you hire them for, they're already handicapped at the very start for being successful. They're not going to know instinctively what to do or how to do things, and they're probably not built or equipped for it. Imagine if you hired somebody who is a high-driven, high-personality person and you put them into a position that requires a lot of detail. Are you going to have a successful candidate? Nope, not at all. So what we need to do in the interviewing process is we need to match that person's behaviors and his or her habits and his or her skill sets to the job for which they're hiring. Now, there's a lot of ways of doing that. You could basically do testing to see if they know what they're supposed to know. But a good way to do that is psychometric profiling. Get them to take some tests to see if their natural abilities match the position to which you want to hire them. So, key here is let's make sure we're putting the right person into the right seat so they have the best chance of being successful. So number 2 way of how to effectively manage a team is to make sure you have an onboarding process, not just an orientation process. You've got about 60 to 90 days to make a massive impression on this employee. Usually what I find is that first 90 days is the most critical time that you have to get that employee up to speed. Too many companies have only what we call an orientation process. You come in, you learn about the basics of the company. You have an employee manual. You have X, Y, and Z of how to do things. You might do job shadowing and on-the-job training. And next thing you know, you've kind of got a part-way understanding of what you're supposed to be doing, but you just kind of have to figure it out as we go along. Well, a lot of times that's going to set up an employee for failure. So what is onboarding? Onboarding is a systematic process, step by step, that an employee goes through in order for them to have immediate effectiveness in the company. You should have written out instructions so that they have to learn certain things, they have to do certain activities, they have to learn certain softwares, they have to learn different scripting processes, they have to get to meet team members, they have to attend this particular meetings in order to formulate a basis of relationships with everybody. So it has to be on purpose. Too many times when we let things happen by accident, things do not go well. So make sure that you have a very clearly defined onboarding process that's going to make it easy to manage that person as they develop into their job. And the third way we effectively manage a team is, does everybody have a current job description? I am shocked at the number of businesses that do not have job descriptions, and how many of them, if they do have job descriptions, are old and no longer relate to the position. Here's one of the things I want you to do is, if you don't have a job description for your team, you need to get that done ASAP. If you do have job descriptions, I want you to review every single job description to make sure it is up to date and it is assigning everybody in your team the proper things that they need to do in order for them to be successful. It's amazing that how much confusion we have without job descriptions, because then everybody's playing in everybody's sandbox. And guess what? You're creating automatic conflict if nobody knows where their sandbox is and if they're crossing boundaries. When you have crystal clear job descriptions, people then know this is what I'm responsible for, this is what I'm not responsible for, and so that everybody knows who's supposed to do what by when. The fourth way that you can learn how to have effectively manage a team is, does everybody have key performance indicators in place? Now, what are key performance indicators? Those are the measurements that you use to make sure that an employee is successful. How will you know if somebody is successful or not? Well, they get the job done, or they show up on time, or they're part of the team that gets widgets out the door. That's not enough. A good key performance indicator is something that is specific and measurable to that employee, that ensures us that they are doing the job to which they are assigned. A good example of that is, let's say somebody is a front register person on a retail or a restaurant. And let's say that their error rate is blank, or they have over and short cash in what that number looks like. Or let's say that you have somebody who's graded on, let's say, Google reviews, or any kind of review that is left by customers on a certain individual. There's a lot of ways that you can start dialing down on what you see are the most important numbers that you need to help understand if an employee is effective, and then you can help them develop to get to the number that you want them to get. If there is no specificity, then how can you put a plan and action in place to get somebody better? Imagine if you went to a baseball game and there is no runs, no hits or scores, you wouldn't know what's going on. It's the same way with an employee. Get as specific as you can on measuring key performance indicators, because we always remember this principle in management: what gets measured gets improved. Now, the fifth way we can effectively manage a team is, do team members know their own behavioral, motivational, and learning styles, and do they know other people's? We are all individuals. We do things differently. We have different motivations. We have different behaviors. We have different ways we learn things. If these employees don't know what that is, how can they understand everybody else on a team? So one of the things that I love to do is, with team members, I give them a behavioral survey that says, what are your natural and adaptive behaviors? I also have a test that goes through what motivates you as an employee in the workplace. And that helps me understand, hey, this person is motivated to do this. How can I help that person using that strength in motivation? And then how learning styles. A lot of times our learning styles, we teach an employee one way, but they learn another way. If we can, as managers and employers, help people learn better through using their natural learning style, guess what we do? We help develop better employees. Now, the sixth way we can manage a team is to conduct weekly LION meetings with your team members. What is LION? LION stands for last week, issues, opportunities, next week. So typically, if you have a direct report, you should be having weekly meetings with them. You always will go to last week. Review what happened last week. What worked, what did not work. Then the second part of the meeting goes into issues. What are the issues that the employee is dealing with that we're working at overcoming? The third part is opportunities. What are the opportunities that can be utilized? Improving their skill sets, something out in the marketplace they'd like to pursue, whatever that looks like. So what are those things that you can do to help that employee improve? And then the last part of the LION meeting is then next week. What's the game plan for this upcoming week, so that them know what they're focused in on? So again, LION meeting is last week. what are issues they're dealing with, what are opportunities, and what's their game plan for next week. And finally, the number 7 part of how to effectively manage a team is that when necessary, you need to help other team members be of success somewhere else. I.e., yes, let them go, fire them. I had a client one time that says his biggest learning he's had in business is to hire slow and fire fast. Now, the whole idea here is that we as managers and business owners want to hang on to people way too long, feel that we own the mistake that we might have made in hiring them, and maybe we just need to do some more. Maybe we need to pour some more resources into them, when in all reality, that's not going to work out. So when we're looking at an employee, I use what I call the 3 T's: train, transfer, terminate. If somebody's struggling, the first thing we do is provide them more training. Maybe they need to be trained better. Maybe during their orientation or onboarding process, they didn't get any training. So we need to train them. If that doesn't work, then perhaps we transfer them to someplace else. Maybe when we hired them, they didn't fit the job for which they were hired. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to transfer them to another department in the business, and maybe that's where they fit. Maybe this person who's back in the back doing production actually has a bent for sales, or vice versa. So we transfer them. And then the third thing is, if we train them, it doesn't work, we transfer them, it doesn't work, then we have to basically help them be a success somewhere else. We have to terminate them, we have to let them go. So, and I can tell you right now, your team members are going to see, if you hang on to a toxic employee or somebody who's not working out, that's going to be a real struggle for a team working well together. So be decisive if you have to. Biggest thing you have to understand as a manager, you're helping develop people to be a better version of their own selves in the workplace so they can all work together. If you want to talk a little bit more about how to become a more effective manager, click below. I'd love to chat with you a little bit about, okay, what's it take to be a better manager? Hope to talk to you soon. Go out there, be a great manager of people.